Listen up.
Tom's a GOAT. Right now we're headed to the Super Bowl. He's probably the biggest reason we are where we are.
That's the scary thing about coming to the Super Bowl at home. We've been playing so good on the road.
Don't worry if I write rhymes, I write checks.
It's a tough journey to get here. To go on the road and win another road playoff game is just a great achievement. Now a home Super Bowl for the first time in NFL history, I think puts a lot of cool things in perspective. Anytime you're the first time doing something, it's usually a pretty good thing.
Y'all got drama, the saga continues.
Obviously, it just heard Tom Brady.
Going nowhere.
Decker off on 98 Rock. Maybe his most famous call, also called Florida State for many years, maybe his most famous call, the Bucs' first Super Bowl championship call. And Key, I'm not Jeremy Schaap, but I did a little investigative reporting for you yesterday. I did a little investigative reporting. You talking about firing off the cannons. Keyshawn J. Willard Zubin, presented by Progressive Insurance. All of our guests, including Seth Greenberg, to talk a little hoops with Jay, college and NBA coming up in 14 minutes. All right, so I rolled up the old sleeves, the sweater sleeves, of course, and I investigated a couple of different things. You wanted to know what the deal was with the cannons. Are they going to be able to shoot off the cannons if the Bucs score a touchdown in their home stadium at Super Bowl 55?
Because they are the home team.
Correct.
I misspoke yesterday and said they were the away team, but they're the home team in their own stadium.
Correct.
Happens, yes.
The home team gets to pick their own unis. People want them to play in the pewter, right, the old school. But because they've been rolling through the playoffs in white and been very successful in the white, there's some talk there. And obviously being the home team means they get their home locker room in their home stadium. But for the Cannons, the league, from what I've been told, is working on it because they do not want the firing of the Cannons, this is true, to be a competitive advantage for the Bucs. If you're wondering, most of the teams that, yes, they usually fire off a cannon whenever the Bucs score a touchdown. Yeah. Right? It's called the old pirate ship there, Raymond James Stadium.
Fire off the cannon.
Right. But they don't want that to happen because that would clearly seem to be a little bit advantageous to the Bucs. It's their stadium, it's their cannon, and people have actually talked about it.
The game's in Tampa. How else is it supposed to be?
I don't know, because it's supposed to be a neutral site, though, Jay.
But it's in Tampa.
I know, but it's supposed to be a neutral site. They'll figure it out, though. You can get somebody to walk by real quick and bam. I didn't tell them to do it.
Again, 22,000 fans, 7,500 vaccinated healthcare workers will be there. And most of the tickets, at least for the Bucs and the Chiefs, will go to their season ticket holders, as is generally the case. Let's get right to the Bucs. Simple question this morning. We could make it our poll question. We could just talk about it here. Why not? Let's make it the poll question. 888-SAY-ESPN, 888-729-3776, Key J and Z. On Twitter, you tell us, Key first, Jay, and then you on the phone lines. Who deserves the most credit for the Bucs making it to the Super Bowl in their own stadium? Is it Tom Brady? Is it Bruce Arians? Is it their defense? Is it somebody else? Are we missing anybody, Key? If you had to pick the most important factor or person or position group, it would be?
Tom Brady.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tom Brady. I struggle with this. It's Tom Brady because of his veteran leadership, the things that he brings inside the locker room, and not necessarily the play on the field, even though the play on the field was good this year. He cut down the interceptions that they had with Jameis Winston. If Jameis cuts down those 30 interceptions and basically do what Tom did, what is that team last year? What is that team this year with Jameis Winston? But they couldn't trust that Jameis would not turn the ball over. He implemented some things late in the season that he took from New England and helped after the bye week put into the system. And then there's the defense and Todd Bowles that got together over the last 5 games of the season and into the playoffs that turned things around and started to turn the ball over and give the ball back to the team, offensive side of the team. So I would say it's terrific, Tom. It's terrific, Tom.
It's Tom Brady, Key, and I agree with you. This is not even a question. Even Bruce Arians said it. I read to you, quote, the belief he gave everybody in the organization that this could be done. It only took one man. That's what your head coach has said about the influence of Tom Brady.
See, I didn't even know that he said that. I just, from just watching the 16 games and into the postseason, you just know when you've been there and you've done it, Jay, and you've been in the locker rooms, you know, it's like, yeah, terrific Tom had a whole lot to do with this.
Well, too, Key, also winning habits. For a team that has lost the amount of games over the last years, that the Bucs have, all of a sudden you bring a guy like Tom Brady to the table, it automatically puts everybody on that team on notice because everything is heightened. The media attention is heightened. The front office is paying attention now because expectations have changed, and it puts unlimited amounts of pressure on individuals to perform at a high level. And when that's the bar that's set every single day, you have to live up to that when you're Tom Brady and when you're on that team. And it forced everybody to step up to the plate in a different way that they've never seen before.
You remember me saying at the beginning of the season when we first started and Tom was on the team and everything, I said, just cut the interceptions in half. Mm-hmm. You cut them down. I think he had 13 and Jameis had 30 last year. You just slice that right in half. It's all you got to do is go choom, right? Slice it in half, and there you go. A big difference in play, make the plays. Now, look, it's Tom Brady. So we're going to push it all the way up to a whole nother level. We're going to make it a 25, not a 10, a 25, because it's Tom Brady. Mm-hmm. But that defense had a lot to do with why they're playing. It ain't the Derrick Brooks defense, but it's good enough. Tom's not screwing it up. What have I always said, Jay Will? I'm going to take you back to day one.
I know about Jameis
Manage
Winston.
the game, run the ball, and play defense. What is Tom doing? He's super managing the game, making the big throws when he needs to, and completing them, and they're balling out on defense. It ain't Tom Brady. He's not 35 or 40, 460 yards. In 5 touchdowns. That's not what he's doing. He's managing the game and not screwing it up.
No doubt.
And I think people, it hurts their feelings when you say that because they don't want you to tell the truth. They want you to make it seem like it's all Tom on the field. It's Tom in the locker room. It's what he brings to the table.
I couldn't agree with more on the defense. The wild card game against the Washington football team was won on defense. The NFC Championship game was won on defense. Brady threw 3 second half interceptions. I'll give you what he did against Drew Brees. So it seems obvious. I'm with Jay and with Key that clearly it seems like the most credit goes to Tom Brady. So I challenge anybody to call us at 888-SAY-ESPN or KeyJZ on Twitter and give us someone else. Calvin in San Antonio has hopped on the Goodyear hotline. Calvin in San Antonio, who deserves the most credit for the Buccaneers making it to Super Bowl 55 in Tampa?
Good morning, gentlemen. As much as I want to say Brady, trust me, I do because I'm a Brady fan and I believe he's the GOAT, hands down. I'd like to venture out and say Bruce Arians because it was Bruce Arians who allowed Brady to change some of the things in the offense for the second half so that he can be comfortable and do what he's doing now. He could have easily made it a power struggle, and in the middle of the season, you guys saw their play wasn't all that great. And that was when they were still trying to figure it out until Bruce Arians allowed Brady to do what he does.
And he's right about that. And when they got to the bye, Bruce Arians and whatever, they started communicating, and Byron Leftwich, and put in some things that Brady did well up in New England that Brady felt good about throughout the course of the week. But Bruce Arians and the rest of the organization, the general manager, they all kind of figured out, let's get Brady, let's get Gronk, bring in AB. He's not going to be a distraction. There's Leonard Fournette. We got something in a running balance, running game. So when you start to look at that insurance policy was huge for Gronkowski because O.J. Howard got hurt in the beginning of the year. So you start to look at all of the way they assemble things and put things together. They went out and drafted Antoine Winfield Jr., who didn't obviously play in the Green Bay game, but he was an important part of what they did down the stretch defensive-wise. It's everybody gets some credit, and we're going to give a lot of it to Brady. There's no question about it, but everybody gets some credit.
And super real quick, I just wanted to give Byron Leftwich some credit here, too. The more and more I watch their offense now, it seems as if Tom Brady is back on the Patriots with the way they play. I mean, they've been running the ball a lot more, which gives them way more optionality. At the beginning of the year, they were a very one-dimensional team where Tom was dropping back and throwing 30 times per game. And now to see how much this offense has transformed and evolved, it seems like Tom is way more comfortable with this stylistic form of how they're playing.
Yeah, that's a great point. I never want to root against a guy getting a job, but in this particular case, hear me out. I actually do believe it's really good that Byron Leftwich did not get the job at Marshall, his alma mater. He was a legend there. He was up for the position. It went to Charles Huff, who's a great recruiter, Alabama, all the way through. But that allows Byron to stay in the mix for NFL head coaching jobs. You know how difficult it is for legends to stay away from their alma mater, but that job is filled, and hopefully maybe a year from now, Byron will be an NFL head coach. He outduels Patrick Mahomes on offense. The chances are pretty good. On the way, it's one of the biggest brands in all of sports, and they are a big, make it huge, not key. I never say this about you. They are a huge disaster. Who are we talking about? That's After Key. Now it is you. After Key has this from